Yo,
Welcome to another Synfig tutorial. Today I'll be showing you how you can create simple controls for bones. And for my example, I'll be creating controls for a simple leg shape using the bones. And what I mean by that is I'm just going to create a bone that looks like a leg. I'm still using Synfig version 1.51. Here we have our new bone tool. And I'm just going to click on that and left click to create my bone here, and I'm going to select my transform tool and just rotate this around. So what we're trying to do is just to construct a simple leg shape, and I'm going to select my bone tool here again, click here to create another bone and just rotate this around. So this will be the upper part of the leg, this will be the lower part of the leg right here, and I'm gonna click on the bone tool again and just create another bone there and put it right here. So there you can see we have a simple leg shape, upper part of the leg, lower part, and we have the foot. So now that we have that all set up, let's go ahead and add our controls. So for the controls, I'll be using the transforms and I'll be using the rotate transform. So select the rotate transform, and to make our lives much easier, we can just copy and paste that 3 times, or duplicate it 3 times. Well, duplicate it 2 different times. So we have 3 different rotate controls here. So this one at the top, I'm just going to move it here. And this one here, I'm going to move it below that one, and then this one, I'm going to move it here. A quick tip: if you want to see all of the controls all at once, you could just hold down Shift and select all of the controls here, like so, to see all of them, and then you could align them as necessary, like so. Okay, so we have all three controls. Now I'm just going to rename these so we know what they'll be controlling, and I'm going to call this one maybe up leg, so we know that it will be controlling the upper part of the leg, and I'm going to call this LWR leg to represent the lower part of the leg, and I'm going to call this one foot to represent, the foot here. Okay, so we have our 3 controls all set up. Let's go ahead and start the process. So I'm going to select the bone here, and what we want to affect is the rotation part of the bones. So I'm going to click on this top one right here, and in its properties I'm going to right click the angle, convert, and I'm going to convert that to an integer, and I'm going to open this area here and select link. And what we want to do now is to export this over into the library. So let me open up our library section here so you can see. I'm going to right click here, export, and of course I'm going to keep the same naming conventions. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but for the sake of knowing what we're doing, I'm going to call this up leg, and I'm going to click export. And if you should open this up, you'll see that it's now in the library here, and I'm going to do the same with this lower part of the leg here. Right click, convert, integer. I'm going to export the value over into the library, so I'm going to call this LWR leg for lower leg, export, and I'm going to do the same with the foot rotation here. So right click, convert, integer, and right click this, export value, and I'm going to call this simply foot and export. Okay, so now that we have all of these in the library, let's go ahead and attach our controls to each of those. So I'm going to start with the upper leg here. In its properties, we want to right click the amount, convert that to a scale, and then open up the options there, and where it says link, you want to right click, convert that to an integer, and I'm going to open that up. And with the link selected, remember we're still on the upper leg, we want to select the upper leg exported option here in the library as well, and come back over to our left side here and right click and click on connect to connect it to its shape. But notice that the leg has disappeared, right? We don't want it to affect the leg in that way. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put all of these in folders So what it has done, because it has rotated, it has just rotated the bone on the canvas somewhere within this space. So if I should put all of those in folders, then our bone will come back because they're no longer affecting the bone like that. So folders are important, all right? Okay, so we have that one set up. Let's go to the lower leg and also notice that they're affecting each other, right? So they're rotating, they're following the rotation pattern of the one above them, okay? So the foot and the lower leg is following this, and that's because they are not in their respective folders. So let's put each of them in their individual folders, like so, okay? So let's go to this one and do the same thing, pretty much convert this to a scale. And where it says link, you want to convert that to an integer. And I'm going to select the link, select the lower leg here, come back over here with my mouse and right click, connect. So now that is connected, and we want to go to foot and do the same thing, convert to scale, convert the link to an integer, and link, select foot, come back over here, right click, connect. So I notice that whenever you connect them, they automatically take on the rotation pattern of the bone, but I like to have my entire scene organized. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all the controls plus their folders. So I'm going to just hold on control and select them like so we can see them, right? And that's just so we can see them. So let's take it one step at a time. I'm going to select this first one here, and I'm going to just move this over. I'm going to turn on my grid, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just use the folder to rotate the bones like so. Okay, just to get it straightened out on the horizontal plane. Right, so that's one, and I'm going to, let me just move this over a bit like so. Okay, so that's one down, and I'm going to drag a line out here so I can know where I am. So we have this line here, so we know that the bones should be at the second line. You don't have to do this. This is just me being all neat, because I don't like when, you know, the bones are all over the place. Well, the controls are all over the place. So I'm going to put this here like so and rotate this around like so. So it's straightened out, and I'm going to do the same for the lower part, which is here. So let me just move this over and move this up a bit. So, and then use my rotate to rotate it around. And by the way, because we're rotating the folders, the controls aren't going to affect the bones right there, right? Until we actually use the controls themselves. Okay, so I think that's all set up. Let me just select all of these to make sure. Well, select just the controls, and there we have it. They're all neat now. It took a bit of work, but yeah, we're ready. Now, if we should move any of these, well, if we should move the top one, it affects the top bone here. And if we should move the bottom one here, it affects the lower part of the leg. Well, upper part, lower part, and foot, like so. So this is a simple way to, you know, instead of clicking on the bones themselves to move the bones, you can just create controls for them. And that's if you want. You don't have to, but you can, okay? And that's what this tutorial is for, just to show you that you can do that if you so choose. And I think this is pretty cool, right? And of course, you know, you can always animate these. So yeah, and that's pretty much it for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I will see you in the next video.
Yo, Kimardi.